Fire, 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 fire.
Broccoli Jim.
Purchase your tracks today.
Broccoli Jim.
Fire, 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 fire.
Hello, my name is Tiana. Welcome to MR.SNACKS Soul Cafe. Here is your host, Hiroshi.
Thank you very much, Tiana. Welcome to MR.SNACKS Soul Cafe, another podcast coming at you. Just got back from the doctor. Told me that jogging could add years to my life. And you know what? He was right. I feel 10 years older already.
Whoa!
Well, you know, I was at the doctor's office, so I told the doctor that I'd broken my arm in several places, and he said not to go to those places. Well, enough of the comedy, I guess. You know, you get to the age, I just celebrated my birthday, August 15th, Leo. I'm now at the age where I've got to prove that I'm just as good as I never was. Mhm. Wow, it's good to have Tiana with me, I tell you. Laughs at my jokes. She gets paid very well to do this. But anyway, here we go. Let's get serious. As Jermaine Jackson, remember that tune? Let's Get Serious. Way back in the 80s, I think it was. All right, we're going to talk about suffering. And if the world's an illusion, if everything's an illusion, then suffering is also. But it seems so real that we really go through this suffering phase, doesn't it? But like with anything, an illusion is temporary. It comes and goes. Suffering does too. So there are times when we're not suffering, or we don't think we're suffering. So where is that? It's gone. And then, of course, it returns. Just like thoughts. Thoughts come and go. So this suffering, if you look into it, is all mental. It's imaginary, isn't it? If there's no story, narrative playing in your head, can there be any suffering? So a story would be like, and I'll bring up my own personal example here. A weekend is here. And the thought arises, oh, it's a weekend. What are you going to do? So you give attention to that. And then the danger begins, right? Nothing really. Well, you just seem to be wasting your life. You know, you don't have a relationship. You don't have a girlfriend. It would be nice to have a woman in your life, right? Someone to hold hands with, to kiss, to love. So the mind always finds a way to focus on lack, what's not there. And the woman is not there in your life. So the feeling arises, oh, maybe I'm a loser. Or why can't I get anyone? Well, I'm much older now. See the thoughts coming in? And it's tough. And with the current pandemic, I mean, it's almost impossible to meet anyone. Restaurants are closed, or there's that, social distancing. Well, the dating sites, there's so many scams going on there, and who wants to get involved in that? I saw a beautiful woman the other day, grocery store. I wanted to talk to her, wanted to meet her. But you know what? She seemed pretty young, maybe too young for me. I'm an older guy. I've got to face the facts. Well, I guess I'll just let that go. I mean, if I had more money, I don't have a job right now. I'm not on tour as a musician. Wow. I can't really afford to take her out to a nice dinner. Oh, that's right. She's too young. And I don't like rejection. And plus, with everyone wearing these masks, you can't really talk to anyone. And if I went up to her, maybe she'll think I'm some kind of weirdo or something. So forget that. I just get the groceries, go home, and just be by myself and work on some music or work on a podcast. I can make some calls. So there's a story playing in my mind, several stories. And you can just see that. That's the suffering. And you want to get rid of the stories that are playing in your head. But you just have to notice that all the stories are imaginary. And all the suffering is based on what? This imaginary character that I take myself to be, this Hiroshi. And I'm the star of this movie, star of this story here. So we assume that there's this thing called suffering. Maybe there's no such thing as suffering. No one who can suffer. Now, is there really suffering, or is there just a story of Hiroshi who can't get anyone, doesn't have enough money, doesn't have a job, doesn't have anything to brag about. He's not on a tour. He's old. This suffering man named Hiroshi. But either the suffering is imaginary or it's real. Right? But then you ask yourself, is there suffering if this story isn't playing or these stories aren't playing in my head? I am what's aware of the story, so I can't be the story. I'm aware of my thoughts, my mind, so I can't be my mind. So what's going on is all these stories and this central character named Hiroshi taking center stage. And by taking center stage, it appears to what? Cause me to feel miserable, frustrated, disturbs the peace. Thoughts disturb the peace. Thoughts are noise. And noise is the sound of thoughts. And you are in trouble. I tell you, you fall in that trap. And the trap is a belief that the stories are true about Hiroshi, the central character. And I tell you, the mind is an incredible instrument. And you can go home, which I've done before. And then you go, well, I didn't talk to her. And then you come down on yourself for not talking to that woman. That's another story. And maybe I should have. And then you come down on yourself for being afraid. Wait a minute, where's that confidence? And then you start to build up that confidence. Well, I've played with all these acts. I've been on tour. I've been married and I've dated beautiful women. Then you look in the mirror and then you doubt that. You go, well, wait a minute. Am I really that good looking? Anyway, am I attractive? So-and-so says, but maybe they're lying. I must sound nuts to you guys out there, but this is the story. And this is what happens when you give attention to your mind. It will go crazy. It's called the monkey mind. And it jumps from one story to the next, always creating something. A drama center with this action figure called Hiroshi. You know, I changed the story, but I'm talking to her. I'm imagining her falling for me. And then the story continues. We end up getting married and da-da-da. So yes, it can be entertaining. The stories can be. But on the flip side, the mind has no clue. I don't even know this person, and here I am riding off in the sunset with her. And here's a quote, Huang Po, Zen master, many centuries ago where he lived. And he says the arising and the elimination of illusion are both illusory. Illusion is not something that's rooted in reality. It exists because of what? Our dualistic thinking. The mind is dualistic. So when psychological suffering, illusory as it is happening, thinking is happening. Thinking, in this case, about Hiroshi. Thinking involves a story playing in my head where the central character is me, Hiroshi. And we realize with understanding, if that happens, that all thoughts, all feelings and sensations, they're free to come and go through you. They're not you. They're coming and going. And you are that which is aware of all the thoughts, feelings, and sensations. You are awareness itself. So all these thoughts and feelings and sensations arise on their own and are witnessed. You are what you call the witnessing presence. And there's no you creating these thoughts. It's happening to you. It's like falling in love. You don't decide to fall in love. You see this person, and then immediately your heart is beating. What's making your heart beat faster? You didn't do that. And then you go, wow, I want that person in my life. I love that person. See, it happens. You're not the doer, and you're not the thinker of those thoughts. And another thing, if you forget something, let's say if you're a student going to school and you forgot your math book at home, right? If you're not the doer, you didn't do that. The teacher may say to you, hey, you forgot your book. And then you feel bad about it, right? By habit. Oh gosh, I'm such a dummy. I left my book at home. Leaving the math book at home happened. Don't come down on yourself for something that didn't come about. And really, that's if you're late for work or early, or you forget something on a grocery list, or leave your keys in the car, or even forgetting to bring flowers to your wife on her birthday. And of course, you're going to get yelled for it. But it wasn't you. So man thinks he's the doer, and man thinks everyone else is the doer. And that has to be looked into and pondered and investigated. Are we the doer? Are we living life? Or is life living through us? Is Shakespeare spot on that there's one actor playing all the parts? And if life is living through us, it's mysterious. We observe everything in the appearance and say, that's the mysterious source. You want to call it God, the universe, consciousness? It's expressing itself. There's no separation between the mysterious source, consciousness, what I am, what you are, and everything is. It's all one. Energy moving mysteriously. You see, as I shared before, the mind makes a great servant, but a terrible master. It's an excellent tool. It's the only tool we have. But as U.G. Krishnamurti referred to it as, it's the wrong tool. Like happiness and peace and love and understanding, goodness, the absolute. The mind can't grasp it. It can't understand that. It's a mystery. Why? Because the mind is a tool of division. It separates what's one. So we're trying to use the mind to see that, all is one. And referring to the Bible, okay? The sayings of Jesus. What did he say? In the New Testament, of course. I can of my own self do nothing. I and the Father are one. He says that. Someone came up to him and says, teacher or master, how do we enter the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God? And called him good master, good rabbi. That's what it was. Why do you call me good? There is one who is good, and that is God. Could have meant the universe, the Father, whatever. I can of my own self do nothing. Right there, the scripture has been misinterpreted or just ignored. He says it right there. I'm not the doer. So understanding, realizing that you're not the doer, you're not the thinker, what's the result? Thinking just happens, So the trying to control them, to change them stops. Trying to control your thoughts, to do something with them, that's the problem. Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, you don't go and say, well, okay, I'm up and now I'll start thinking. Or I'm up and I'll start feeling. Or I'll start breathing and tasting and seeing, touching and smelling. It all happens. Life is a happening. And if you were in control, excuse me, and like you can ask pretty much anyone, what do they want most in life? And they will say to be happy, which means at that moment they're not happy. They want to be happy. Then if you're in control, then hey, it's easy. Just be happy. If you're in control of your thoughts, just think positive, holy, beautiful thoughts all the time. Don't think negative thoughts, destructive thoughts. If you're the doer, then everything that you do should be perfect. There are no mistakes. So the conclusion is you've never done anything, but it appears you're doing something. It appears you're going to the store, that you're practicing your musical instrument. It appears that you're on tour or that you're getting married. I mean, all this stuff is just appearances, but you're not doing anything. And the you that you think you are is just a concept. Yeah, and choosing happens too, right? You're not doing it. You who you think you are, this name, like Hiroshi, is an idea. Can an idea do anything? No, not at all. It's life. It's, intelligence the universe, the source, consciousness. Right? If you were the doer or the chooser, would you ever choose sadness? Would you ever choose to be miserable or frustrated or depressed? Then why would you choose that? You see, thought is separation. Thought is division. Without thought, there is no separation. Yes, I am Hiroshi is just a thought. Just because I say it doesn't make it true. You know? And I'm aware. The awareness is aware of the thought that arises that says I am Hiroshi. But if you believe that thought, then you're going to suffer. Because that thought carries a story about you, the false self. That you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You need to go on a diet. You need to lose some pounds. You need to work on your addictions. You need to go to the gym more often. You need to eat better. You need to move up the ladder of success. And the suffering, the root of it is that, the whole thing is life is as it is. And we want life to be different than as it is. You know? And it's because of our conditioning. If we were able to accept everything the way it is, would there be any suffering? Would there be any resistance? I love Shakespeare. Another quote, one of my favorites. All the world's a stage, you've heard this, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Right? One actor playing all the parts. He nailed it. So as Nisargadatta Maharaj said, that understanding is the key in all this. Because, wow, this is huge. If man is not the doer, then you're not going to blame someone. You're not going to point your finger at them. They are what they are, playing this character. They're not the thinker, then you're not going to condemn yourself for the thoughts that arise in your mind, or thoughts that arise in someone else's thinking. And the thoughts aren't yours. And the thoughts of your friends or your family members aren't theirs either. The ownership we take in this my thought is just a thought. That my is empty. There's no my. When you hear a bird, singing outside, are you, just because you hear the sound, is it your sound? Is it my sound? No. So the sounds that come in your mind aren't yours. So you don't take anything personal. But we do because of our conditioning, because of our habit. And it's difficult. Like I said, it's not easy. So, what happens once this is seen, then your life becomes a little more steady. You're not carrying the past and the future, which are imaginary. You're living in the here and now. And you're not affected by what people think or what they say of you, because your conditioning is you want that acceptance from others. You want the praise from others. You're addicted to the attention. You want the applause. But when you're not looking for that, when you don't have the expectations of that, then you become cool as a cucumber. But when you get frazzled, is that a word, by what's going on, then that's great. That's a great teacher. The teacher is within you. Then you can look at it and go, wow, there's still work to be done. But it's not you doing the work. The energy transforms. And so this understanding transforms within you. I used to I used to lose it when going to traffic, the freeway. And that anger was there for, I'd say 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then understanding kicks in, and then it was 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And down to pretty much hardly anything. I get angry, and then bam, I'm settled. There's an acceptance. There's nothing wrong with the traffic. We just don't like it, right? And this hits everywhere. I mean, you're in a restaurant, the waiter or the waitress is slow or rude, you know. It doesn't mean you don't, there's a lack of likes and dislikes. Yeah, you can be annoyed, but you realize they're not doing it. This is just happening. It's all part of the play of light and sound. And energy expressing itself as a rude waiter or a nice waiter, or rude waitress or nice waitress. The food's going to be great, or the food's going to be good, or maybe not so good. It may be late. It may be cold. You just deal with it. All right, so that's about it. But life is as it is, not how we want it to be. Sometimes it'll sway our way, you know. It'll swing over here and it'll be cool. Have a great day, a great week, great month, who knows? But it's going to swing the other way. That's the nature of the mind. That's the nature of life. Nothing's wrong with life. So you're having a bad day? Well, it's not permanent. It'll swing. Things will get better the next day. And as Jesus said, you're in the world, but not of it. You don't get caught up in all this stuff. Because if you do, then you're going to be miserable. You know? So you have no preference either way. And that's a peaceful place to be. And with the understanding, true understanding, then the dropping of wanting it to be other than what it is. You're cool with it. I mean, yes, life is as it is, whether you like it or not. And whether you like it or you don't like it, doesn't make any difference. That's the space you want to be in. And you will. Take care.